friends, and welcome to another episode of Dark Side of the Word, a weekly podcast for all the dark story lovers. My name is Kait, and I'm here with my crazy co-host, CJ.
Hello, everybody.
I call her crazy because she's already ready to rewatch Twisters like 5 million times.
Yes, that is not crazy. That is just good sense. Good taste in movies.
I don't blame her. Also, when we offline, I need to hear your quick thoughts on Twister that we weren't able to get to. Twisters.
Yes. Oh my God, we do have to talk about that. Okay.
Okay,
podcast over now. No.
But friends, exciting. Book club is still going. We are up here for part 2. Thank you, August, for 5 Thursdays.
Yes.
We are doing part 2, so that means it is the second book of the Sworn Soldiers series, which is What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher.
Ooh.
Cute, quick little book. So if you have not read the first book, or this book, I mean, there are going to be spoilers for both, so you've been warned. Mm-hmm. The warning sign that you just passed in your horror movie just happened. So click away. Yeah. You know, there will be spoilers. But, yeah. That was probably too early of a warning, but, you know, we're just going for it.
It's good to let people know what they're getting into early.
I also weirdly feel like we're in the middle of the book club podcast. So I'm just like,
yes.
Let's go.
Yes. Mentally, we kind of are, actually.
Yeah, so we're recording them in the same night. No surprise there, because why not? It's the same book club podcast.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm just going to jump in the synopsis then.
Okay, you go for it.
And again, I didn't write this time, same as the last episode, because nothing changed in the last 30 minutes. So, all right, and I did check. This is the Goodreads version for the listeners who remember that from the last episode, where the back of the book did not match an actual synopsis. So, this one does, okay? After their terrifying ordeal at the Usher Manor, Alex Easton feels as if they just survived another war. All they crave is rest, routine, and sunshine, but instead, as a favor to Angus and Miss Potter, they find themselves heading to their family hunting lodge deep in the cold, damp forest of their home country, Galatia. In theory, one can find relaxation in even the coldest and dampest of Galatian autumns, but when Easton arrives, they find the caretaker dead, the lodge in disarray, and the grounds troubled by a strange, uncanny silence. The villagers whisper that a breath-stealing monster from Folklore has taken up residence in Easton's home. Easton knows better than to put too much stock in local superstitions, but they can tell that something is not quite right in their home or in their dreams. Mwahaha.
Mwahaha.
Okay, so, would you like to give your rating?
I gave What Feasts at Night 3.5 stars.
Oh, okay. I had to remind. I had to go look real quick because
you didn't remember.
I gave it 4 stars.
Oh, okay. You like this one a little better then.
I did.
Okay.
And we'll just jump into there then.
Yeah.
If people remember, my complaint about book 1 was that there was just not enough. There was too much time to have to learn the world and the characters and all of that. That I was struggling with the story and I needed more. So now, with this book, now that I know the characters and I understand Alex's backstory and I know Potter and Angus and Hob and all the point of it all, I immediately fell into the story. Immediately love them now because I understand them and what's going on, and we didn't have to do so much of that building, that I was able to just really sit and enjoy everything that Kingfisher was creating.
Gotcha. I love this book too. I thought it was great. Another hit for Kingfisher. I really liked it though because it mostly made me laugh. To me, it wasn't as creepy and unsettling as the first book, but I was laughing a mile a minute during reading this book.
We're this one scared me. The other one didn't.
This one did not scare me. This one. I guess because I've seen the vampire kind of thing before, whereas I thought
it wasn't a vampire.
It's kind of a vampire. It's a breath vampire. It's the same concept of leeching, you know.
But they couldn't stop her, and it was in their dreams. That's creepy as fuck.
Yeah. It's a little bit more been there, done that, whereas I felt that the demonic possession via fungus was completely unique and wild, and I love that, and that made it super good for me. And
been there, done that in book 1, and this one I was like, yes.
Yeah, and the fact that the whole encounter with the Moroi, that's how I'm pronouncing the creature thing, Moroi.
Oh, okay.
you know, how it could have been a fever dream due to pneumonia as like the scientific explanation. Again, I was like, oh, that's a little more common than, again, a sentient fungus overtaking your body. So I was a little bit like, meh.
But it wasn't pneumonia.
It wasn't, but that was the whole, it could have still been pneumonia. I think it wasn't, but they were leaning toward that as like the scientific explanation. I feel like that's one of the themes of this series, is that there's a spooky thing happening that there could be a valid scientific, quote, rational explanation for, or it could be the actual supernatural thing. And in the last book, it was the fungus, so scientific thing going on there. And in this one, it could be the pneumonia bringing about fever dreams, but I think it was leaning more toward the supernatural stuff because there was that shared dream sequence.
Well, and they also found the body.
They did find the body. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Where the widow, because now I've just found out that in the entire book she's called the widow.
The widow.
The widow said that's where the body was, and everything changed when the flow of water changed.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Now, you want to talk about atmospheric and spooky book. To me, this was the atmospheric spooky book more than what Moves the Dead was.
Yeah.
I think we are just very different people now. I'm really realizing that what we like is very different.
Yes. I mean, I liked it. It definitely had spooky parts. It definitely was atmospheric. It had that whole gothic vibe to it. It wasn't as unique and creative to me. That's it. It's not bad. It just wasn't as good as Sentient Fungus. Not much is going to beat Sentient Fungus.
Which is how I completely could say about the first book. And what you said about the first book is what I'm saying about this book.
Yeah.
Plus, I thought that I also agree that the humor in this book was very high. The widow, when Alex reaches under their pillow and there's a knife under there, and they like cut themselves, and then the widow's just like, my knives are taking it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I died. I loved that part. And then they send people to look under all their pillows, and then there's knives under everyone's pillow, and
hilarious.
Just even the spookiness of showing up to the hunting lodge and finding the caretaker missing and not knowing what happened and all this stuff. That start. Boom. I was in it. I was gone. Like, I was like, okay, we're good. This is,
Yeah. I agree. I jumped into it. I couldn't wait to get back to reading this one. Again, she's just such a good writer. And again, the language was so good. I love the humor in it. The greeting that Miss Potter gave to Alex Easton, and from the Galatian phrase book in general, was perhaps my fave part of the entire story, because I literally laughed out loud for 5 minutes. I pretty much timed it. I'm not even lying. Kingfisher has done such a good job of setting Potter up to be this prim, moralistic character, and to have her come out with that and the people around her react like that too is just comedic genius. It is so hard to write good comedy. It's really difficult for me, and just seeing how she just does this and it seems effortless and it just flows. Like that whole exchange that was shortly after the Galatian phrase book about the mushroom and then the witch's familiar and the suggestion and the rejection of purchasing a dead cat to ward off things. That whole back and forth thing was fantastic. I was dying. It was deadpan. There was great dialogue. The characters are all playing off each other. You could see it happening. That's just an amazing feat for a writer to do.
So 2 things there that I want to comment for what you just said. One, being comedy scares the shit out of me. Sometimes I'll just read these books where there's just such great tight comedy. I'm like, how the fuck? But when you read it and you analyze it, it's not that. It's just common language. But how did they decide?
I don't know. It's so good. It's a gift. It really is a gift.
I want so badly to be able to do that.
Yeah, we all do. I feel like Emily Henry is another one that can do that as well, with the banter back and forth. She's really good. How do they
banter?
I don't know. Like, my banter can be good. It can be pretty good on a good day. But, like, this level that Kingfisher was writing on, that's a notch above.
I make people laugh all the time. Like, I am hilarious in real life. Mm-hmm. But put me down to write something and I am boring as fuck. Yes.
Yeah, clam up.
I need to write like myself. Just write like if I'm talking, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I tell myself that, and sometimes it works, and other times it doesn't work. So, yeah, that's why writing the rom-com didn't exactly work for me. So,
Yeah, no, and you can't just have everyone spill something on their clothes and then dry them with the hair hand dryer in the bathroom.
yes.
Scenario. That's done one and done. The second thing I wanted to comment on is how you were saying how the conversation played out and their banter and their back and forth and the connection between the characters. And that is why I love this book so much more than book one, because what you saw here for me was missing in the first one, and I wasn't able to. There wasn't that connection and that vibe and that understanding that we had. And it's even shown in the characters themselves, because now they've had a whole book behind them to get to know each other. We're continuing on the relationship. We're building off of what was already made. And that lended to this book being so much better for me. The humor was better. Like, there was actual humor in this book that was missing in book one. Like, you got the humor from, what was it, Denton, you got the humor from Denton, but you got that as situational humor. You didn't get the humor of the banter and the dialogue and all that stuff that you got in this book, because the characters weren't connected in the same way yet.
Yeah, they're more fully formed now. They know each other. You can go into that depth with them and just have that riff back and forth. Yeah.
One of the other things I was really curious about in book two is we have a very contained story in book one, and we have Potter, who is a mycologist or mushroom person, and so how she fits so perfectly into book one. Book one is just about the mushrooms, and so how is she going to be able to be? Was she going to be able to be incorporated in book two? Was this just an Alex thing and her person? Who's her person? What's his name?
Angus.
It wasn't just going to be an Angus Hobbs story and such, but I really appreciated the backstory of how they all ended up at the hunting lodge, and I thought that it was very well thought out to get us from A to B.
Yeah, definitely. And again, go ahead.
I was saying, and also just to put them in another place where they could set up another kind of story like this, because not every time is this person magically going to be called to a haunted style house.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, how are you going to run into another
situations?
Spooky,
yeah. If there are other books, I hope the same little motley crew goes on into the situations, because it's a good cast of characters. It really keeps you on your toes. And I love that the love affair has continued between Angus and Miss Potter, the well-mannered love affair that just brought me so much joy. I would read a whole book just about them, just watching Alex watch them, because seeing it through their eyes is fantastic.
Well, I wonder if that's if the series is continued, how they do it is that maybe Potter makes a discovery and is able to finally get into her group that she's doing all this for, the society, and then she's hired to go search for these mushrooms, and she doesn't want to go by herself anymore, and so she essentially asks for companions out of Alex and Angus to go with her, and then they get to go on another adventure,
especially if the place is like dangerous and she needs protection from something, so she would need a soldier. They get married. Well, Alex better not go on that trip, that's for sure.
But, that's what I was thinking, too. If she needed protection because she's going to a more, far-flung place. Romania, maybe. Romania would be a great choice. But, yeah, I like that, and I appreciated that. I also liked her touching of PTSD. I thought that her representation of PTSD was well done as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like a lot of people don't really get sometimes how that reacts to the body as well, and so I appreciated it. I think she did a really good job with that.
I agree. I think that happens in the first book too, and I forgot to write notes about that, but that also really got to me. I read another book recently that talked about PTSD and showed how it affected the person. I know that was another original, I think it was a Deadly Endeavor book, where it showed, it doesn't just tell you have PTSD, it makes it seem cliche. It was a very original way of doing it, and I feel that was done here as well. You're really in the moment. She went, Kingfisher went into the moment well, she came out of the moment well. It didn't just seem forced or anything like that. So, yes, well done on that.
Yeah, again, just a really well compact book, which is so interesting because the same quality and great storytelling I see in her full-length books has been put into her novellas as well, and I'm kind of blown away of her ability to do both in a way. Though where I see, for me, the lacking in book one, I don't see it in this one. And I appreciate all of that, and I really liked it. I thought it was really cool, and I liked the folklore aspect of it as well. I like that she was building on that. I like that there was a town involved. I liked it wasn't a vicar, but like
some kind of reverend or something like that.
Same
priest.
thing. Exactly, her priest in there. I thought that was also well done. Like trying to get the doctor.
Oh God, yeah. And she's just not. The widow's just not having that at all. Yeah.
And just building on like the iron, the weaving of the red thread and the horns of the deer on the wall, also the running water. There was a lot of back and folklore built into this that I thought was well placed and well done as well.
Yeah. And we learned so much more about Galatia and the history there, the culture there. So it really brought it to life. I loved all these sides to the turnips. I don't know why that's a thing, and I don't think Alex knows either, but I loved it. One thing I noticed in this book and the previous book, and I was curious if you noticed it too. Where is my note? Did you notice the obsession with sheep that runs through both novels? There's always mention of sheep, sheep fields, shepherds, jokes about sheep all the time. What is with the sheep? There
was the one about them going out naked, right? As the first... in this book with the shepherds going out naked during
maybe I think so, but there's so much about sheep. Like if there's another book, you have to read it and pay attention to all the sheep references because they just abound in both books. And I'm like, what are we getting set up for something? It's just a weird quirk. I don't know, but I picked up on sheep.
It's Kingfisher.
It reminded me of that Buffy episode. I feel like I reference a Buffy episode in every episode of our podcast, but it reminded me of that Buffy episode at the end of season 4 when Buffy tries to channel the first Slayer and the Slayer invades all of the group's dreams. And that guy with the cheese shows up, like shaking the cheese singles. And in an interview, they asked somebody, like, what is the significance of that? They're like, oh, it's just, how random stuff just pops into your dreams everywhere. Like, that's what it is. He has no significance other than just to be random. And that's what this felt like, the sheep or the cheese guy.
I mean, is Galatia known for sheep?
I don't know. It just seems to be a big part of their culture and references and jokes and folklore and history. So yeah, I guess it is just a big part of Galatian history and culture.
Is Kingfisher going on a sheep quest?
A sheep quest. Maybe we'll see sheep in book 3 if there's a book 3. I really hope there's a book 3 and like 4 and 5 and 6 because I do not want this series to end. I could see this series going on for a long time with all these little vignettes and stories.
Well, that's like Wayward Children. It's just like I think they're on 8 or 9 now. I don't know. It's just. Let's see. Well, What Moves the Dead came out in 2022, and then this one came out this year. So, I mean, yeah. They haven't announced
have to wait like a year
and
a half, huh? Okay. We can do it.
This is why I've been, like, refusing to get into series until they're done. Like, Fourth Wing, wait till January.
Yeah. But this is so worth it because it's so good. Oh, so remember how in the last podcast I said there's a theme with the books?
Yes.
So the theme, I feel like she addressed it in this one. And it's the whole theme of, is something evil if it's just trying to survive? Are we just scared because we don't understand it? And instead of killing it, could we try to harness its power and begin a symbiotic relationship with it? And even Alex says this in the book, too. They said, why must you keep sending me innocent monsters or something like that? So I love that Kingfisher acknowledged it in the book itself. And I feel like that is a theme of both books. And I'm hoping that is a continuing theme throughout the series because I think that it just poses such a great question and can make for some really creative stories.
Well, I feel like it's not something that's always touched on either when it comes to horror books. Like the horror is always horror scary. And I appreciate that she is trying to do something a little different. But again, it's Kingfisher. She doesn't try to do anything normal and straight.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And it is an interesting concept. Because if you think about it, especially with this being, this person was murdered and she was buried and it's really her fault, then now she's like someone
stuck.
That's haunting and stuck and like compelled to do these things. Like, I don't know. Like, and same with the fungus. Like, it exists. Like,
it's trying to live just like we are in their own little way that we just don't understand,
Exactly. So it's interesting.
It's such a moral conundrum.
Though. Yeah. But it's such a Kingfisher thing.
I know, because she's brilliant.
What the hell? Yeah, I know, right? She needs to have more notoriety. She's even more well known than she is.
I think among the horror sector, she's getting more known. But just as a storyteller in general, the way she crafts her books, the way she delivers a story, her writing style, like moving from contemporary novels to historical fiction, she just goes seamlessly. That is so difficult to do, as I mentioned in the last podcast. So I think so many people, so many writers should look to her as a great example of both styles. You can learn so much from Kingfisher.
But again, here's just a great example of someone who is extremely doesn't who is amazing at her craft and has all this skill and is able to pull this off, does not have the notoriety of, say, someone who's like a half as talented or putting it out, because it's just not what I feel is the industry plant getting brainwashed into our heads of wanting to read. Like, so I got to get a book from the bookstore, just any book I wanted, because my partner went out of town. And I was like, that's like our thing. When he has to travel for work, I get a book. And, you know, I purposely don't pick them until I go to the bookstore, because that's the joy of it.
Yes.
And I'm actually really sad that I fell for an end cap book, because I just felt that I was buying what was getting, but it was like, okay, in this one case, it was the assistant to the villain. I don't know if you've seen
even know that one.
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, it was the very back of the store end cap, so I felt a little bit. So it wasn't like right in front of your face, like I'm trying to like sell you all this stuff. Not like the Powerless book that's just like cute in my face right when I walk in the door, like, eh. But I still felt bad, because I was just like, I want to give, like, not the one that's getting pushed and someone paid to put your book on the end cap.
Yeah. That's why I like going to the little independent stores if I can find them, because I feel like there's not enough room to have the end caps and then everybody else. So, and there's so much on display there. So I don't feel as guilty if I pick one. I like pretty books on display for me.
I do like to see what they put together at Barnes & Noble, but then I'm always like, But we just supposedly got an independent bookstore opened up in my town.
That's
so I need
exciting.
to go check it out.
Yes.
See if there's a community of writers there.
That'd be awesome. I should look at that.
I feel like I'm so antisocial with, like, other writers.
You're social with me, but I do live many miles away from you, so.
I swear, like, all my friends are long-distance friends except, like, one or two. But even one of the two, like, they live, like, an hour and a half, 2 hours away, so it's not someone you can just, like, I only have one friend in town. One. Everyone else
I think that's just what happens when you get older, is that so many people move around and out of the way, and then people have kids and stop being available. I met you
long distance.
Yes.
And then my other really close friend I met long distance. Like, always started out long distance.
I have had a long history of befriending people who are not geographically near me since, like, the AOL chat room days back in 1997.
Dude, we were born this way.
Yeah.
Society turned us into this with MySpace and IMing and email.
It's you know what? Because I am more comfortable in written form than I am in person. Which is why I didn't want to do a podcast where I talked, because I get very anxious and I don't like to speak off the cuff, because I get tongue-tied and my brain goes too fast from my mouth. But if I am writing something, I can be witty and charming and funny and just seem wonderful. And then you meet me and you're like, oh, okay.
No, I half the time think you're so much better on here than me. Over half the time. So take it back. No. You're funnier than I am.
I don't think so.
You are.
I think we're both hysterical.
Okay, listeners.
Is this the poll? Is this the poll?
Yes.
Listeners, do not fall for this. Do not make a poll like this. No.
I'm him.
There is no winner in a poll like this.
All right, well, back to the book at hand. Wow, we went silly. It took until the second episode, but we finally went silly. But we are back to What Feast at Night. Again, great cover.
Yes.
Great title.
Yep. All the greats.
End page is the same, which the environmentalist in me cringes. But, oh yeah, and then they had like the fun page here. That was a fun page. Reminds me of Illumine, which is a great book. Don't read it, CJ. It's not for you.
Okay, noted.
Anything
noted. Will not write it down.
Anything that's remotely like sci-fi fantasy, I'm like, no. Back away. Back away. But yeah, I know. I just think it's great. I'm really glad that you suggested this, CJ. Part 1 and Part 2 was a great idea.
I feel like, I know there are other months where we have, 5 Thursdays in a month, and I want to see if we can try and find other books or other authors who do this kind of thing, because it'd be fun to read back-to-back books again for those months to fill up that extra Thursday. Mm-hmm. We need more people writing novellas.
Yeah, I don't think it's a really big thing. The other one I could have suggested was your favorite author,
Cassandra Clare.
Yeah, because she did 2 novellas. They weren't connected, but she did write 2 novellas.
Yeah.
But the only other novellas I can think of are like the sci-fi one I mentioned and the fantasy one. So.
Yeah, I know a couple, maybe short. No, maybe they're
If
novellas.
we hadn't already done Hyde, we could have done Hyde and Mr. Magic, because they're both like really small. They're not novellas, but they're small.
Yeah, maybe we'll look for that. We'll just look for shorter books. Shorter and not small print, because that makes a difference too. If it's shorter and just really tiny print, you're still reading a lot. Yeah, it was. I think I need to get magnifier glasses.
Wait, we talked about this.
Did we talk about this? Yeah. Apparently I need dementia pills too while I get my magnifying glasses.
No.
Because I'm forgetting things.
But eventually, when we're big enough, I'd like to do interviews on our 5th episode. But I'm not brave enough to reach out yet.
I don't know what questions to ask. I'll just fawn all over the author like, oh my God, you're amazing. Please be my best friend. And no one wants that. No one. So I don't think we're ready.
An amazing joy when Lemon likes my stuff. Just unprompted. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I remember she's following me. And I'm like,
to like, how much do you like it? Do you want to come on our podcast and talk about us? Please?
Well, I'm waiting for her book to come out before I even post that. So.
Yeah. All right. It'll be a goal. It'll be a goal maybe for next year. Like end of next year. So this time next year.
All right. Well, I think that's all we want to talk about, right?
Yeah, I think so. Just when you like something so much, there's not that much more to say about it.
I know. And I feel like we covered so much of like the series in the first episode.
Yeah, definitely. Did your rating change at all?
For this one?
Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah, me either. Okay.
All right, cool. All right, well, it is the exciting time to announce September's book club pick, though, which is also a CJ suggestion. So.
I forget what it is.
But I'm excited.
I always forget what it is.
The blurb for on the front is from Grady Hendrix.
Oh, that's nice.
This book is the monster that lives inside your closet.
Oh, I know what book this is. Oh, I'm excited.
Also, to keep everyone on their edge of their seats, Grady Hendrix has talked about, mentioned his next book, correct? I think you told me, right?
I think I sent it to you, but I forget what it was.
Yeah. So be prepared. We will be picking that for a future book club. He is a guaranteed read now.
Yes.
Okay? Anyway, so for September, we are reading Incidents Around the House. Incidents Around the House. By Josh Malerman.
Ooh. Who wrote Bird Box. If anybody knows, he wrote Bird Box. And a bunch of other things, but Bird Box I think is what he's most known for. Yeah, which I loved. I loved Bird Box. I did not
read it, but I watched it.
Okay, I watched part of the movie, I guess. I just love the book so much that.
Now I'm even more excited. All right, now it's time to read the cover, or synopsis. Okay. To 8-year-old Bella, her family is her world. There's Mommy, Dado, and Grandma Ruth, but there's also other Mommy, a malevolent entity who asks her every day, "Can I go inside your heart?" When horrifying incidents around the house signal that other Mommy is growing tired of asking Bella the question over and over, Bella understands that unless she says yes, her family will soon pay. Other Mommy is getting restless, stronger, bolder. Only the bonds of family can keep Bella safe, but cracks in her parents' marriage are starting to show. The safety Bella relies on is about to unravel, but other Mommy needs an answer. Incidents Around the House is a chilling, wholly unique tale of true horror about a family as haunted as their home.
I'm sorry, if someone asks you, "Can I go inside your heart?" you say no. Automatically, no. End of story. But she must not say no all the time, or else we'd have no story.
But Mommy needs an answer.
Oh, that's such a creepy question. That is such a unique question, too. I love that. I have not heard that before. I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Already I am fangirling, so.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I did not realize it's the same author, so. But if you guys would like to join in book club again for next month and need to get your copy of the book, make sure to use our bookshop links down below in the show notes. We don't care who you click on. That will just be the poll in itself.
No pull. No pull.
Anyway, your help support of using our affiliate link does help keep the lights on and to keep us going and creating great content for all of you all. But thank you so much for listening to another episode of Dark Side of the Word, a weekly podcast for all the dark story lovers. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and then tell us how wickedly awesome and brilliant and talented we are. We are also an audio-only podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Make sure to check out the polls that we post on Spotify as well. And thank you so much for listening, friends.